What's up? Just wanted to touch base. I've been going through, like some healing processes and deliverance processes and therapy. And I was with a doctor, and she was talking about how she was like, your year was very traumatic, and I think counseling would be very healthy for you. And I was like, okay, I feel that. And then it got me to thinking, I felt like maybe it was from the Father to just share what the past few years have looked like for me and how I got this far. I guess how I've just got as far as sharing my ideas on YouTube. I don't consider myself some YouTube person. I consider myself a real person out here sharing whatever God put on my heart, I hope it blesses you. But let me fast forward, it's June 21st, 2021. June 21st, year 21, right? And I would say I would have to go as far back to say as like, let's go back to as far as 2017. How about that? 2017, about a year after 2017, I'm living in an apartment. I recently got divorced from my daughter's mom. Nothing, like nobody cheated. It was just real toxic, and it was not healthy. It was not healthy, and I knew God was taking me out of that relationship. That's a whole nother conversation. If you want to hear more about divorce and how I got a divorce and that process, leave a comment below. Just divorce, say you want to know more. I'll probably just end up sharing anyway, but anyways, the relationship was kind of toxic, so I move out, and I'm pretty poor, going from a 2-family home to just me having my daughter, who's 3, 4 at the time. And the apartment that I'm living in, it just so happens that they were doing renovation, and the unit next to mine that touched mine had mice and bed bugs galore. So overnight, a bunch of mice and bed bugs in my apartment. And then they started spraying for mice and bed bugs. And so I'm like in my house, I can't sleep in my bed. Everything had to be in garbage bags. And so I'm like sleeping on my couch for months. My daughter, can't have my daughter, and then all my stuff is in garbage bags, right? And so I was kind of homeless in my house going to barber school. And barber school was like, it was tough because I ended up getting sick because of the spraying in the house. They were spraying for roaches and bed bugs, and one thing I want to say is that God will restore anything that was lost or taken from you. A lot of times we just don't know when that started, we don't know. So it's a lot farther. God sees everything that you lost, not just what you recognize, So when he restores things to your life, don't be shocked when it's a lot more than you realize. A lot of times we don't realize what was stolen from us. We just realize what we had to serve, what was left, And yeah. So anyways, I get pneumonia twice. I lose my job. I'm in starting barber school. So I'm poor, no job. And I would drive to the soup kitchen on fumes, gas fumes, whatever people tip me, maybe $5 a day. If you go to a barber school to get your hair cut, make sure you tip them. Make sure you tip. Please tip. But so I'd go there on fumes, eat my little whatever food they had, and and then I would kind of meet these homeless people and ask them if they need haircuts. I'm fresh out of barber school, so I'd go to this homeless shelter and I'd cut hair from 6 o'clock until 10 p.m. and then go back to my house. Now everything was in garbage bags, and they were spraying just to sleep on a couch, and kind of homeless in my own house. It was trash. And that went on for some months. My daughter couldn't be around, so I was really lonely and started getting depressing. And I ended up finding a job about May. I ended up finding a new job, and the options was continue to struggle or go, find somewhere for you and your daughter to live. And by that time I was kind of living out of my car because I didn't want to pay for rent at an apartment that it wasn't hospitable. Like, it was really bad at some points. All in the garbage bags, and food. If I didn't get it from a soup kitchen, or I didn't get it from a food shelf, it wasn't in my life. It wasn't in my life. And so fast forward, end up staying with my mom, working this new job and leaving barber school to have my daughter. It was awesome. So, my mom's house is furnished and all these other things, and, cable and all that because of the new job. And I'm trying to find ways to get back in barber school, but it just wasn't good timing. And then one day, my mom's struggling with her own addiction. And, I try to walk like a right path. And I think sometimes that convicts people. When you're walking a right path, sometimes your freedom is conviction to those who don't have that conviction. Sometimes your freedom from addiction, your freedom from bondage convicts people who don't have that same freedom. And it's not because the Bible talks about like urging people to jealousy. A lot of times that's what it is. Your freedom in life spurs other people to be jealous for what you have. That it doesn't come with the things they've traded their soul into. It comes with something that God said is free, that no man can buy. So like buy with no money, buy with no price. And so so moving forward, so now all of a sudden I get back home and the door's locked, everything I own is on the other side, and so I'm homeless all of a sudden overnight. I gotta work a job and sleep in this truck, and I remember parking in like a hospital ramp to stay warm. It's February, I'm homeless, and I still gotta wake up and go to work. And now my daughter, and so what I would end up doing for my daughter was I would just take all my money. I remember God said, be faithful to your daughter. It's hard. Being a single parent is hard. And so God said, be faithful to your daughter, and I'm going to bless you in that area. So I would take my entire check and get a hotel, and I'd work like a fireman shift where I'd work like 5, 6, 7 days straight and then be off for like 4 days, and I'd get a hotel for my daughter. There goes most of my check, and we would just get a bunch of snacks and movies and maybe go hit a museum and just chill and rest. And I got the rest from being homeless for a week. And then I'll drop her off like Monday morning or Tuesday morning at school and get her all her snacks and then go back to being homeless, And that went on from like February 2018 to September 2018. And I'm talking, I was homeless in the winter, homeless in the spring, homeless in the summer, right? We get a new place, 2018, end up getting a different job, paid a little bit more, a little traveling, and it was cool. And at my job, I ended up meeting somebody, right? Beautiful woman, island woman from the island, gorgeous woman. We fell in love. And it was awesome. She loved God, I loved God, and we just talked. All we would do is just talk and hang out, and then we were just inseparable. And so months of that goes on. It's like October when we meet and we talk and we hang out. October, November, December, January. By that time we're hanging out so much. January comes. She takes me out for my birthday, and we go to like a little Indian restaurant. And I look at, and we end up going to a hotel, right? And this is the thing, like, we're having sex the whole time. Like, I don't believe in having sex before marriage. Like, you shouldn't. Spiritually, you shouldn't. I think it kills pieces of you we just don't know. But the culture I grew up in, we don't honor that, the generation. But sex flings you, it thrusts you into the responsibilities of marriage without the wisdom thereof. Like, without the wisdom you may have gained from going through the process of learning someone and courting someone and building a relationship with someone. Sex thrusts you into, you're a husband, you're a father now, and you have to be a husband, but you're still a little boy, you're still a girl in areas. And the process of being the process of being united with someone, the process of growing with someone and courting someone, learning them as you learn yourself, that prepares you and gives you a wisdom that only comes from God. And I think God also sees that and honors that. And to be straight up honest, like, it's never been easy for me, you know. It's never been easy for me to ever like abstain. And so I pray God gives you grace. I pray God like gives you grace in your relationships and wisdom, that you're not stuck. And so for me, I was stuck in a relationship. We were just recycling sex, and that was a bondage to someone who probably wasn't that as mature or mature enough to like build a relationship. But it was nice for the time being. But it was a bunch of empty sex is what I'm saying. Empty. And one thing she said was like, we take from each other. We steal from each other. We take something that's not ours. And after a while, you find how empty it is. And either you work through it and you mature, you grow, you abstain, or you find someone else and start recycling the same habits, and it poisons you. It poisons you. So January 2019, my birthday, she goes and hands me a pregnancy test on my birthday, you know, and it's positive. Dopest birthday present I've ever got, finding out we're having a baby, you know. And by February 2019, on Valentine's Day, find out that she miscarried, you know, and it sucked. And so from that point on, though, the relationship was kind of rocky. Something about it, I just didn't trust her. I felt like we were having the same arguments over and over. I felt like we weren't going anywhere. She wasn't dealing with her own issues, and I'm about take responsibility. The only way you can grow in this life is if you take responsibility for what's yours. That's how you grow. Take responsibility for you. I don't got a problem people pointing out what I did wrong. You know, it gives me the opportunity to be better, right? So February, March, April, and I'm just like, you know, we're not going anywhere. We're spending all this time together. We're not going anywhere. She loved the relationship. I just felt like it just wasn't right. And I was kind of waiting to see if God would show me something. And a lot of times we wait and spin our tires in relationships that are not for us, thinking, okay, God, show something. But a lot of times God is just waiting on us. God didn't put us in a situation, and he's waiting for us to make the conscious effort to move forward and move out. And so she was like, I want some space, cause not space, like she wanted our relationship, but she just was going through so much emotional trauma I think she failed to deal with. And me pushing her and leading her towards that, she was kind of straight cleared what she needed to do. And I was like, look, when you move out, my relationship ain't going there with you. Like I'm in South Minneapolis and she's moving to East Side St. Paul, and I'm like, I put in so much energy into this relationship already. I'm not stretching myself any farther. When you move, we done. And so April comes, May comes, she moves out. And because of that, like, it kind of put me in a place where like I was behind on rent at my place. And she moves out, and June comes, and I'm kind of cleaning out some stuff, and she shows up and she sees me, and she's like, you look nice, you look like you're about to go. I'm like, I look regular, I'm out here struggling, I'm trying to make it work, like, and she assumed I was like dating someone or going to see someone. And so later on that night, you know, and insecurities. Later on that night, she texted me. She said, you know, I've been holding this in for so long, and it's hurt me. But back in February when I miscarried, I took a pill that aborted the baby because I was afraid. And she was like, I'm sorry. And then blocked me. And she didn't share that with me because she wanted it to like bless me or you know, honor me. She wanted to clear her own guilty conscience. And then I think she used it to hurt me, you know. I think she used it to hurt me. So that's that brings us to May 2019. So now because of it, so now before 2018, I struggled with not having a place for so long, and I finally got a place for me and my daughter. And I spent so much time in an empty relationship that it sabotaged my relationship with my daughter. And to this day, I still feel guilty about it. Like, I didn't have to suffer through a lot of the stuff I did. I didn't have to suffer through or walk through or be broken. But I stayed in a relationship that God didn't have for me, and it ate much of my life. It ate a lot of my life and my blessing, and so eventually I'm making soap on the side, and I get an RV. Meanwhile, my apartment is like, I'm behind on rent, and so my apartment is like in the process of being evicted, and so I got to transition to this RV that I was gonna do like travel with and sell. I got to transition to it, but all of a sudden something happens and it don't start anymore. It won't move, and while trying to fix it, it catches fire. And the thing about RVs, the engine is like in the RV. It's not, you don't pop a hood and you go, it's, you're sitting next to the engine. And so while I'm there in the engine, the engine catches fire. So I'm like buckled in or just in the front seat, and the door is not opening, and there's a campfire like in my lap, flaming, and the mechanics trying to put everything out, and it's the door won't open, and the RV's filling up with like the blackest smoke, and I'm like, I ain't gonna make it, yo. All of a sudden the door opens. It just opens. So I run around coughing up, smoke, try to go in to put the RV out, because everything I own is in this RV now. And so, yeah. And so the firefighters come up, put it out, and they're like, I'm surprised at how bad it's not. It didn't burn that much. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you can get it fixed. And I was like, so I eventually get evicted from my apartment. I got this RV a block away from my house at like a little auto shop, and let me plug this, at a little auto shop, and I'm getting evicted. And so I'm kind of sneaking into my spot at night, just crashing. The power is out, water is off, all that other stuff, but I'm just crashing on the floor or crashing in my bed, hoping the sheriff don't come in, and that's kind of what I'm doing. And one day the sheriff pops up. So I got everything in the RV. Now I got to go sneak at night. I got to sneak into, I go to work in the daytime. And then at night when I get off work, I got to go sneak into this mechanic's yard to sneak into my RV, because I don't really have nowhere else to live. And it went on from like September 2019 to November, every night in this RV. And I'm talking about nights it got cold. I just wrapped up with covers. The inside of it is kind of burned. I gave them money to fix it. They don't know how to fix it, all this other stuff. And it was just agonizing. And I kind of felt bad, because at that point in time, I couldn't have my daughter. But a bad relationship just kind of occupied so much of my time, only to find out she kind of aborted our kid behind my back, So anyways, moving forward, November comes and I have to get like some wisdom teeth out. I got to go get my wisdom teeth out. And my friend is like, come crash at my spot while you recover for like a few days. So I'm recovering, and I end up needing to go back to work. I took some days off of work. I go back to work. I remember it snowing, and my brother's like moving to Houston at this time. So he's like, hey, come hang out with me or whatever. We hang out, and he's going to be moving. And then I end up going back to work. And when I remember it snowed, and they're plowing in Minnesota. Winters get so stupid. And so I get back to my RV, and it's gone. It's towed. It's gone. And everything I own is in the RV. And I'm trying to contact the guy who I'm leasing it from, and he's kind of being an a-hole. And I'm trying to get it out. I got the money. Nothing happened. And my friend is like, dang, come just stay here for a little bit longer, whatever. Maybe we could find something. And And my brother's like, hey, I'm moving, but my place, I got more time I got another month of my lease. Just come crash at my spot. So the next day I go to his house, crash. It's empty apartment with like a couch and a thread of Wi-Fi, just a thread of Wi-Fi. And this is like December 3rd, 2019. And I wake up with nothing, just the clothes on my back, shower, whatever, spray my clothes down with Febreze, and show up to my bank job to be like management at a bank. And I remember like the day after it snowed horribly, horribly. And so everyone's late, so I'm late. I get to work and we got a new like branch manager, and the like regional manager was there and they're in the office and they're waiting for me. I get fired. I get fired. Right. Wisdom teeth out. RV that was on fire gets towed, and then I get fired. This is the worst Thanksgiving weekend ever. And I'm like, what do I do? That's horrible. And I got like 3 weeks left at my brother's spot, and I'm like, bro, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Like, God, like, just take me, take me. And so it just so happened that like a week later I got my check, right? So I got a little money, and then like a couple weeks after that, some like check that they were supposed to give me back in August that they never did. It was so dumb. They finally gave it to me. So things kind of worked out. And then a friend, I'm talking about a week before I got like about a week before my brother's like the January 1st, my brother's lease is up, another like pastor friend called me and said, hey, I got room in this house I rent, just come. So I'm there. So December 31st, 2019, I show up to this house in almost the middle of nowhere, and I'm just crashing in the basement on the floor. And that's how I brought in the new year, 2020, January 1st, 2020, out in the middle of nowhere. Ain't no buses running, it's a holiday. I don't know where I'm at. I need food. I've got like $10 to my name, and anyway, so fast forward, February comes, and then I like am able to get unemployment for my job that fired me, and I'm able to have my daughter now. We're crashing in this basement, and February comes, late February, and I get severely sick.